Welcome back to Green is Good. We're so excited to have Eric Bensley on with us. He's the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Citrix. Welcome to Green is Good, Eric.
Thanks, John. It's good to be here.
Hey, Eric, before we get into talking about Citrix and all the great things you do at your great company, your great employer, can you share a little bit about the Eric Bensley story? Our listeners like to always learn about our guests and what they've done before they've gotten involved with what they're doing. What was your journey leading up to joining Citrix?
So, John, I'm a Southern California kid. So I went to school down at UC Santa Barbara.
Okay.
And studied sort of math and economics, and got really into technology there. It's not a well-known sort of fact, but Santa Barbara and UC Santa Barbara is a hub for a lot of technology development.
No kidding.
And actually, Citrix was the division that I work for within Citrix was a startup out of UCSB, and the whole idea was about sort of connecting people over the internet in a time. This was a while ago, right. A time where that wasn't necessarily a reality. And so I got into Citrix early on, about 8 years ago. Really working on GoToMeeting, which is one of our staple products. And I know what we're going to talk about today is sort of this conversation around mobile working and mobile workforce. And my story is really kind of in line with that because over the 8 years I've worked in Santa Barbara, Washington, D.C., and I'm now in San Francisco in a variety of different roles. And so I've kind of lived the new way of working, so to speak. And it's been great. And I think the common theme is the work has been fulfilling, the company has been great, and the location didn't matter. And so I think that's kind of the new way the workforce is going. It's very interesting. I know a lot of companies haven't necessarily adopted that, but when we think about sort of what's better for employees, what's better for companies, and also what's better for the planet overall, the location really shouldn't matter.
And you're right about that. First of all, let me say at the top, our company that employs me and that I co-founded, Electronic Recyclers International, we use Citrix, and we're very happy with your product. And it has made our company what it could be because we have approximately 900 employees across America in many, many different cities. Working, because they have to in different areas, and their work is still the greatest work, and they make our company what it is. Our company's built on people, but it's because of your technology and the platform that you guys have created that allows everyone to work seamlessly, and the geography does not matter. And so you're so right. But let's just talk about sustainability with regards to Citrix in this. Obviously in your lifetime and in my lifetime, Eric, climate change has become a reality. And so this has been one of the worst winters ever logged in American history. How does that impact even the way we work? Besides people's freedom of choice of where they want to work, just even weather changes making our work patterns change. And how does that interrelate with what you're doing at Citrix?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, as a California person, I have to sort of tee something up to get some street cred with your audience. So obviously, we've been talking about snowpocalypse on the East Coast, and I was actually there for the first one when I was in Washington, D.C. And although D.C. doesn't get the same snow as a lot of the East Coast during that, and that was about 2 or 3 years ago, The entire city was shut down. I actually remember going to the mall and seeing people cross-country skiing by the monuments. That was a highlight of that time when I was living out there.
That's awesome. That is street cred, by the way. That is massive street cred.
So, according to different estimates, I'm looking at one from the Department of Homeland Security. In the last 30 years, weather disruptions have cost the economy over $1 trillion.
Wow.
And that's probably a conservative estimate in terms of what happens. But it's these are small, well, not small, but short disruptions. Talking about a few days at times where people can't get to work. And I think the issue has been that companies have thought of sort of disruption and workforce disruption as a reactive measure, right? So putting plans in place when these things happen.
Right.
And the problem is that it takes a lot of work and investment from employees to really get to a place where they can be productive from anywhere. And so it's more of a proactive strategy versus a reactive strategy to get employees in the right place where when something like this happens, it's as easy as calling your boss and saying, hey, I can't get into the office today. The roads are unsafe. I'm going to work from home. And then they're on. Right. And that's the type of place that we need to get to as an economy so that people, can just work where it works for them. And if these things happen, it's really not a big deal. I mean, the companies that do this well, when a disruption happens, it's as simple as saying, okay, stay home today.
Right.
And that's the only execution that needs to be done on the part of the company, on the part of IT. I think as small business individuals look at this, it's a little easier, right? They've been doing this for a while. It's the larger companies and the government in some cases that really is impacted by these types of severe weather situations.
First of all, I'm on your website right now. For our listeners that want to follow along as we have this chat with Eric Bensley today, go to www.citrix.com. It's a beautiful website. There's tons of information there. And, it's important that you check it out for yourself as we talk here today. Talk a little bit about this new word that I'm seeing, Eric, more and more. It wasn't around 20 years ago. I never even saw it till the last couple of years. Work shifting. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for Citrix?
Yeah, absolutely. So work shifting is a word that we made up about,
okay.
I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago. And the reason that we started talking about work shifting was because we weren't satisfied with the way that the industry was talking about telecommuting, because it was a very specific, behavior. And telecommuting still is the idea of working from home,
right? Which
is a huge part of work shifting, quote unquote, but it doesn't capture everything. So work shifting is built on this concept that work is a thing you do, not a place you go. And once you orient your mindset around that, you become a work shifter. And what that really means is, you're not always working in one dedicated place. So if you work from coffee shops, if you work from home, if you work on a plane, if you work in a hotel, if you work from your mom's house, if you work from, a friend's house, if those types of things are work shifting behavior. And the concept is really shifting the way that you think about work from a place you go to a thing that you do. And it seems very simple, but somehow we became obsessed with work as a place. And you see it in a lot of the modern management techniques where people are scared to leave the office before 5.
Right.
And that's crazy, right? I mean, if someone needs to pick up their kid at 3 and wants to work from 7 to 8, what's wrong with that? It's better for them and it's better for the company, right? They're going to be more satisfied. If you're making people sit in chairs for 8 hours, it's not good for their health.
Right.
It's not good for their psyche, and it's not good for the company.
You're so on the money, Eric. It's not about the place; it's about the work product. The place is the noise. The signal is the work. I mean, So I'm with you on that. But what is the recently in the last 18 months or so we saw Marissa Meyer get rid of telecommuting at Yahoo. Was that just really an anomaly compared to where the rest of the economy is going with regards to work shifting and the focus on the importance of not form over function, but function over form. And is that what Citrix allows us, function over form?
Yeah, I have a hard time sort of commenting completely on that entire strategy at Yahoo. I think sometimes in tough times with companies, you have to use sort of blunt instruments to make changes.
Right.
And I think this was more a way of, making a big change. And unfortunately, it became a philosophical conversation around remote work. I'm not sure that that's completely what she meant by that change.
Got it.
She really was trying to centralize, make some big changes at the organization, and thought the distribution and people kind of running on their own wasn't the right thing at the moment. So, I'm not sure that she meant to make as big a statement as the media made about that.
Right.
But I think overall this is the way that the workforce is going. As I was sort of saying before, when you think about work being a thing you do, the conversation switches from a certain number of hours to specific outcomes that employees need to achieve. And that's really good management at the end of the day. Just because somebody's working at home shouldn't mean that you have to build good outcomes for that employee and really define their work. But it begs that question if you haven't dealt with that already. But sort of management 101, right? If your employees don't know what they're working on, they're going to work on whatever's hitting their inbox. Right. And that's not the way you'd like to set it up. But yeah, I think to answer your question about is this where it's going? Yeah, I think it is. And it's a combination of a few things. The environmental impact is huge. So we actually work with a company called Telework Research Network that and they they did a study that revealed that just half-time telecommuting, so working from home half-time, could reduce carbon emissions by 51 million metric tons a year. Sort of the equivalent of taking all of New York's commuters off the road. So, that impact is real and it's becoming more real. But as we know, people tend to make decisions based on short-term kind of more selfish benefits. So I think it's a nice side benefit at the moment. The real thing that's driving people is really this work-life balance idea, and people demanding that, and companies starting to realize the actual economic gains that they can get from supporting something like this.
And talking about supporting, first of all, for our listeners who just joined, we're on with Eric Bensley. He's the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Citrix. It's Citrix, Citrix.com. What tools does Citrix provide for this new economy, for this new trend of work shifting and this growing trend? And what tools do you provide and what services do you offer now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a variety of solutions, and it sort of depends on the work that you're doing. I would say the most common solutions that we offer that people are taking advantage of for work shifting or remote working, mobile working, are things like GoToMeeting. So GoToMeeting is an online meeting or web conferencing tool that allows you to get online, share your screen, share a presentation with an audience while you talk to them over the phone or internet audio, and use video conferencing. So it's sort of a immersive kind of online meeting experience. GoToMeeting has been out for quite a while now and been very successful. We also offer a tool called ShareFile, which allows you to just easily share files securely with anyone around the world. We also have a product called GoToMyPC, which allows you to remotely access into a machine while you're at a different location. So, for instance, if you have a dedicated office, but you're on the road and you're on your iPhone, you can actually remote into that computer, grab a file, check your email, check some system that's only available on that computer. Another tool that we have is called Podio, which is actually a work platform. So what this enables you to do is sort of set up what we call workspaces with groups, and manage tasks, manage projects, and just create efficiency for groups when you're in a distributed kind of situation, so that you can make sure that everything you're working on is actually being accomplished. You have full visibility into all the projects you're working on. So those are just a few examples. And I would say, to your listeners, obviously all of these are available for free trial. So if you do have some interest, you can check them out with no obligation for 30 days online, all the products I just spoke about.
I mean, what beats that? I mean, you get a free trial, you use it. If it sees it makes your work life and your life better and more productive, why not use these great products then and get with the Citrix program? Like I said, our company uses it with massive success, and that's one of the reasons our company's been able to grow to how we've grown. We're down to about 3 minutes or so here. Eric, what other green initiatives does Citrix help support? Obviously, when people are work shifting or telecommuting, as you point out, there's lots of carbon footprint savings. What else is Citrix supporting with regards to sustainability and green?
Yeah, absolutely. So, locally with our offices, we partner with Earth Day initiatives to try to get the word out around sort of telecommuting and the impact that it can have. I think overall, the biggest thing we do to support green is just, putting research out. Some of the stats that we had talked about today come directly from research that we have commissioned. But we're really trying to push this idea that remote work and work shifting is kind of the future of work in our economy here. And through that, the carbon footprint savings are just enormous. And I think that's the biggest thing we can do as a company, is to create awareness for the inefficiencies and the environmental impact of the things that we're doing to drive, to fly, to do all of these things to get work done, when it's really inefficient and it's just not the best use of our resources. So I think we'll sort of continue to push these different initiatives and again, support our local. We have offices all around the world. Support a local sort of Earth Day and green initiatives in those markets to try to help people understand the benefits and the impact that they can have just by work shifting a few days a week.
We're down to the last minute or so. You've been there now 8 years, Eric, over at Citrix. What's the future for Citrix? Give us a little visibility on the next couple of years ahead.
Absolutely. So, when we look kind of into the future, the thing that's changed a little bit about technology in the space is that it's moving incredibly fast now, which is fantastic for consumers. It's fantastic for someone like me who works in the space. It keeps things very interesting. But it sort of means that you have to move your thinking to principles as opposed to precisely what you're going to build and what you're going to say a year from now. So I'll give you the principles that I'm sort of thinking of right now. Okay. One is designing everything for mobile. So as we look into the future, we see more and more demand for things to work mobile in a way that they might not even work on a desktop. So we're starting to think about how do we build things specifically for the mobile use case before we even think about putting them on a computer. So you see more and more of that because the demand and the capabilities on mobile devices is exploding. And so as we look forward, we're designing everything for mobile.
Gotcha.
Another thing that we're thinking about is just faster innovation. And the idea of putting things out into the market and getting feedback immediately. So faster innovation is definitely is key for us in getting user feedback.
So mobile and faster innovation. And thank you again for coming on the show today, Eric Bensley. If you want to learn more about Citrix, it's www.citrix.com. Eric, thank you for your visionary thoughts today and leadership on work shifting. You are truly living proof that green is good.